Namaste, Akka. You have to unmute. Maybe you have to log out and come back. One second, let us see. Are you able to hear me? You have to log out and come back. Just waiting for a few minutes. So others can join.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, namaste. Let's start with 3 ohms. Please take a deep breath. Namaste, Namo Namaha, Suprabhatam Survebhyah. Let me share the screen here. Purna is here. Purna, go ahead, Purna.
Yeah, till what number do I need to chant? 38?
38.
38. Okay. Om Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakaruttam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi आबाहु पुरुषाकारम् शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणम् सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतम् प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिम् श्रीमते अनन्ताय नागराजाय नमो नमः। अथ विभूतिपादः देशबन्धः चित्तस्य धारणा तत्र प्रत्यैकतानता ध्यानम् तदेव अर्थमात्रनिर्भासं स्वरूपशून्यमिव समाधिः त्रयमेकत्र संयमः तज्जयात् प्रज्ञालोकः तस्य भूमिषु विनियोगः त्रयमन्तरङ्गं पूर्वेभ्यः तदपि बहिरङ्गं निर्बीजस्य व्युत्थाननिरोधसंस्कारयोः अभिभवप्रादुर्भावौ निरोधक्षणचित्तान्वयो निरोधपरिणामः तस्य प्रशान्तवाहिता संस्कारात् सर्वार्थतैकाग्रतयोः क्षयोदयौ चित्तस्य समाधिपरिणामः ततः पुनः शान्तोदितौ तुल्यप्रत्ययौ चित्तस्य एकाग्रता परिणामः एतेन भूतेन्द्रियेषु धर्म लक्षण अवस्था परिणामाः व्याख्याताः शान्त उदित अव्यपदेश्य धर्मानुपाती धर्मी क्रमान्यत्वं परिणामान्यत्वे हेतुः परिणामत्रयसंयमात् अतीतानागतज्ञानम् शब्दार्थप्रत्ययानाम् इतरेतराध्यासात् संकरः तत्प्रविभागसंयमात् सर्वभूतऋतज्ञानम् संस्कारसाक्षात्करणात् पूर्वजातिज्ञानम् प्रत्यस्य परचित्तज्ञानम् न च तत्सालम्बनम् तस्याविषयीभूतत्वात् कायरूपसंयमात् तत्ग्राह्यशक्तिस्तम्भे चक्षुः प्रकाशासंप्रयोगे अन्तर्धानम् सोपक्रमं निरुपक्रमं च कर्म तत्संयमात् अपरान्तज्ञानम् अरिष्टेभ्यो वा मैत्र्यादिषु बलानि बलेषु हस्तिबलादीनि प्रवृत्त्यालोकन्यासात् सूक्ष्म व्यवहित विप्रकृष्टज्ञानम् भुवनज्ञानम् सूर्ये संयमात् चन्द्रे ताराव्यूहज्ञानम् ध्रुवे तत्कतिज्ञानम् नाभिचक्रे पायव्यूहज्ञानम् कण्ठकूपे पिपासा निवृत्तिः कूर्मनाढ्यां स्थैर्यं मूर्धज्योतिषि सिद्धदर्शनं प्रातिभाद्वा सर्वं हृदये चित्तसंवित् सत्त्वपुरुषयोः अन्यता संकीर्णयोः प्रत्यया विशेषो भोगः परार्थत्वात् स्वार्थसंयमात् पुरुषज्ञानं ततः प्रातिभश्रावण वेदन आदर्श आस्वादवार्ता जायन्ते ते समाधावुपसर्गः व्युत्थाने सिद्धयः बन्धकारणशैथिल्यात् प्रचारसंवेदनाच्च चित्तस्य परशरीरावेशः.
Thank you, Purna.
Thank
Namaste.
you. Thank you.
So let me share the other screen. So this is where we left off. We finished Sutra 31. That Kantakupe Kshutpipasa Nivarti. That's where we left off. So quickly let's brush up and then start with Sutra 32. I think we started in 21 or 22 somewhere. Let me see. I think we started with the 24, I think. Okay. Maybe the Sutra earlier. Somewhere here we started. Okay. I think that's where we started. Okay. So in 24, he says Maitri. You know that it means friendliness. So friendliness comes Bhalani, strength. So when we are friendly, we get all kinds of strength. That's what he says here. So the samyama on friendliness, when you are able to do the samyama on all these are with respect to samyama. So when we do samyama on friendliness, one gets strength. That's what he says. Then he says in the next sutra, from this strength is like the strength of an elephant. That friendliness brings you that kind of a strength. Which means on when you do samyama on strength. So these are all the things. You can do samyama on friendliness, and then from there you get strength, and then you do samyama on the strength, you get more elephant-like strength. That's what he says, hasti bhaladini. So that kind of a strength that you get. These are all the siddhis that we are talking about. And then and by the awareness of illuminating sensation of anything. So by the samyama on that, on the illumination, on the light within us, so you comes the knowledge of subtle and hidden and remote things. This is like this siddhi is something that we talked about, where If something is hidden in your house, a car key is hidden somewhere and you don't know, by doing a samyama on that object, you will know. It will tell you where it is, and you don't have to be near that object. Also, you can be 100 miles away, and you can still get the location of where that missing object is. It could be keys, it could be a person, anything for that matter. That kind of a siddhi. This is what this we have seen in olden days. Some people would have this siddhi. You ask them where this person is hiding or whatever, they will be able to tell you. So this is that is one kind of a siddhi. And then by samyama on sun, by doing a samyama on the sun, one gets the knowledge of the universe and the cosmos. Similarly, by doing a samyama on moon, on Chandra, you get the knowledge of all the stars and the array of stars, the galaxies, and all that. By samyama on doing the pole star, Dhruva, you get the movement, you get the understanding of the movement of the stars, knowledge of the stars, movement. And then by doing samyama on Nabhi chakra, that is your Manipura chakra, you get the knowledge of the body system, various parts of the body's organs, how they are functioning, how well they are, all that knowledge about the working of the body system comes to us, comes to the person who is doing the samyama. Kantakupe, okay, this is at the throat, at the pit of the throat, right here at the pit of the throat. Where if you do the samyama, then you can be without thirst for a long period of time. So this is what I said, that for Rama and Lakshmana, when they went to the forest, Vishwamitra taught them this particular siddhi. So because he knew that they have to be in the forest for long periods of time, because they have to fight later on, he probably knew. Not only that, because they have to be in the forest and they will be doing a lot of things in the forest for 14 years or whatever. So he taught them this, that whereas by this siddhi, they could remain without water for long periods of time, both from hunger and thirst. Not only thirst, but from hunger also. Kurmanadyam stairyam. So stairyam is the stillness in the chitta that comes by doing a samyama on the kurmanadi. Kurmanadi, we saw that it starts behind the nabi, behind the navel, actually behind the sukshma nadi, and then comes all the way to the throat and ends at the throat. So by doing that, one gets that stillness of chitta. So now we will move on here. So Murda Jyotishi, Siddha Darshan, Murda. So this is the Murdana point where I have discussed in the other class. So Murdana is at the forehead, right in the place where ladies take part their hair, right at the starting point of the hairline, in the middle of the forehead, at the top of the middle of the forehead, somewhere here, is that Murdana point. So it is also, this point is structured in such a way, there is a nadi which runs from the Sahasrara chakra all the way down to the sternum area, right behind, right at this point, right up to this point, the sternum area. Okay, and this, there is a kind of a you must think of this like a circuit breaker. Many of you know circuit breakers, right? Where if the current is too much, it will trip, right? That kind of a circuit breaker, not a regular fuse, but this is a circuit breaker where you can go and push the switch back. So this point is very important because we will see as we go on. Let us look at what the sutra is saying. Murda Jyotishi Siddha Darshanam. So this point, when this point is fully energized and you're able to feel this point, what happens? Those who have siddhis can be, you get all kinds of siddhis. That's what it says. All kinds of siddhis begin to happen when this point is fully activated. When you're able to see this point or fully energized, when this Murdana point is fully, you're able to fully visualize this and fully activated. When this is fully activated, various siddhis begin to happen. So that's what he says. By the light in the Murdana, Siddha, perfect being or state, or the siddhis may be viewed, or one experiences those kinds of siddhis. So this Murdana point is very important, and not only because of the siddhis. If this Murdana thing is tripped, then the immune system works through this point, because this the Atma Nadi connecting the Sahasrara chakra all the way to the Atma chakra here, at the sternum, right behind the sternum. There is Anahata chakra, which is at the center of the chest. That is Anahata chakra. This is Atma chakra, right behind the sternum, in the front of the body. Whereas Anahata chakra is at the center of the body with all of the chakras on the Sushumna, on the Sushumna Nadi. Whereas the Atma chakra is right behind the sternum, and that's where the Atma Nadi ends. So, if there are problems with this, the Murdana point, then the immune system will not work properly, because the Udhana Vayu, what we call as the Udhana Vayu, there are different 5 types of Vayus. We don't have to discuss all of them now. The Udhana Vayu, which is responsible for connecting to the unmanifest divine. The connectivity takes place when the Udhana Vayu is fully present. So the Udhana Vayu has to flow all the way down up to the Atma chakra. So if it gets stopped here, the immune system does not work well, does not work properly. So that's what this sutra is very important, that at this point, the Murdana point, when first of all, it must be working properly, and then when one is able to view that, then one will get siddhis. Many siddhis will happen. That's what it is saying. Any questions on this? Okay. Let's go on to the next one. Pratibhatva sarvam. So Pratibhatva means by that light of the Murdana point, Sarvam. Everything is known. That is that intuitive knowledge comes to us. That's what he says here. The next sutra, Hridaye Chitta Samvit. So, Hridaye. So, Hridaye here does not mean the Atmanadi or that, not the Anahata Chakra. Here, Hridaye is in the middle of the chest, or I mean, actually, hold on, in the sternum area, right here. So, this is the Atma Chakra. Okay, this is the Atma Chakra, and Chitta Samvit. Chitta Samvit means the entire knowledge of the Chitta is residing here. So when we say the entire knowledge of the Chitta, we are calling this as the Atma Vidya. We have talked about Atma Vidya a number of times, right? This Atma Vidya resides here. When you say a person is fully enlightened, this is where it completely resides. The entire knowledge, it resides in that Atma Chakra. So even for us, as the avidya starts going down, the Atma Chakra is the one where it is going to be, the vidya is going to be retained in the Atma Chakra. And Atma Chakra and this knowledge, this Atma Vidya, can go from birth to birth. This is one thing which we never lose, along with the karmas and kleshas. This is another thing which we never lose. It's always there from birth to birth, along with the software, everything. When it leaves the body, this also is saved and taken up. And then when the rebirth happens, we come with that level of Atma Vidya. Any questions here? So that's what he says. In the innermost, interpreted as the Atma Chakra, is full knowledge base of the Chitta. So with that, we have completed a good part of all the siddhis. Any questions before we go on to the next sutra?
Can you explain regarding 34,
Huh?
I believe? 1 second. I'll give you which one. Yeah, 35, please, sir. 35.
Yes. What is your question here?
Hridaye Chitta Samvit.
Yes.
No, the 34 is Pratibhat Va Sarvam.
Yes.
This enlightenment, everything, I couldn't follow what does this mean properly.
So by enlightenment, you get to know everything. That's what it says. When you are enlightened, you have the knowledge. That's why it says sarvam. You know everything. What is it, everything?
Everything about everything means everything, or is it
You have the ability to know everything.
Okay.
So if you have questions on biology, you can get answers. If you have questions on physiology, you can get answers. If you have questions on electronics, you can get answers. Anything and everything.
Okay. Thank you.
So that enlightenment in the next sutra is explaining, in 35 is explaining where that enlightenment is stored, where it resides in us.
Atma Chakra.
It resides in the Atma Chakra. That's what he says in the next sutra. That's why it's always, with Patanjali Muni, it is always progressive. All the sutras are progressive.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question? Because we kind of logically we are at a point. Okay, let's move on to 36 then. If there are no questions. Okay. Sattva Purushayoho Atyanta Asankirnayoho Pratyaya Avishesho Bogah Para Artatvat Swartha Samyamat Purushanyanam. Sattva Purushayoho Atyanta Asankirnayoho Pratyaya Avishesho Bogah Para Artatvat Swa Artha. Swartha is actually Swa Artha. Swa Artha, we can read it like that for our convenience. Swa Artha Samyamat Purusha Jnanam. Okay, let us see what this is. So the last word, the last two words, Purusha Jnanam, knowledge of the Purusha. Okay, Purusha is that Atman, which is inside each one of us. That software, right? Everything is software, everything is a program. That which is inside us. The knowledge of Purusha. I mean, how do we get to know that Purusha? So that's what he's going to say. Sattva. We know what is Sattva. That is that guna, the Sattva guna. The balanced energy flow without impurities. That's what it is, Sattva. Sattva Purusha Yoho. So of the Sattva Purusha, Atyanta, highly, extremely, that's all it says. Asankirna Yoho. Sankirna Yoho, Asankirna Yoho. Sankirna means narrow. Asankirna means not narrow. Completely open-minded. Asankirna Yoga. So that's what he says the next as a meaning. Being completely open-minded. That's what I keep telling you. When you initially I used to tell you this. Nowadays I don't tell you because we have come to Vibhuti Pada, third chapter. I always say you have to be open. You have to be open. You have to be open, not closed, because we have all these convictions and beliefs. When you have those convictions and beliefs, this vidya will not come into us. So I will say open-minded. So he said, you have to be open. Why should we be open? Only then we can understand that Purusha, Sattva Purusha. Pratyaya. So the convictions and beliefs, that's what is Pratyaya. Avishesho, not significant or nothing distinguishing. So he says here, hence interpret as meaningless or purposeless. Bhogaha is experiences. Para artatvat. Para is always outside of us. So he says artham means meaning. So the meaning is also truth of others or for the purpose of others. That's what it says. Swa artha, our own truth, self-interest or self-individual truth of the individual. Samyama, by samyama, one can understand Purusha Jnanam, knowledge of Purusha comes. So let us read the summary. So the experiences appear purposeless in the context of a Sattva Purusha who is extremely open-minded. By samyama on purpose of others and one's own self comes the knowledge of Purusha. So he says by doing samyama on ourselves, or the samyama on the purpose of others meaning not regular people, but very highly evolved people, he says comes the experiences. By that way, we begin to understand that Sattva Purusha, that unmanifest divine. Because he is so open-minded to understand that, we have to do all this. That's what he says. Any questions here? Let me also see what notes I have. In the meantime, think about if you have any questions. Then discuss that also. No, I don't have anything specific as notes here. So basically, it is saying when you want to understand the unmanifest divine, we can say in a very short summary, you can say when you want to understand the unmanifest divine, you cannot have any assumptions. So the narrow-mindedness, what he's saying, open-minded, that's what you're saying here. So he says you have to be open-minded. So if you have assumptions, then you cannot get the full understanding of that Sattva Purusha, of that unmanifest event. That's all he says. Okay. Let's move on to the next. So any other questions? ततः प्राथिब श्रवणा वेदन दर्शा स्वाद वार्ता जयन्ते ततः प्रतिभा श्रवण प्रातिभ श्रवण वेदना दर्शय स्वाद वार्ता जयन्ते. So tatah, thus from this pratibha. So we already saw pratibhava we saw earlier in the couple of sutras back. So that is that light of enlightenment. Shravana, hearing. Vedana, sensation. Darsha, seeing. Swada is we know that Swad brand is there, right? Taste. Varta, smell or health or feeling of happiness. The Jayante is arises or victory. Those are the things. So here it is born or arises. So here he says from this, from what? From that understanding of Purusha arises enlightened hearing, enlightened hearing, sensations, seeing, tasting, and smell, health or feeling of happiness, depending on how Varta is interpreted. I think there are some differences in how Varta is interpreted. So we don't have to go into all that, but we can just take it as uh, health, smell or health or feeling of happiness. Let me also see what Dr. Rajan says here. In my notes, I would have that. I think specific here, accepting that he says Varta is enlightened exchange. That's what he says. It's an enlightened exchange. And since smell is also a kind of an exchange, so that's why they use this word Varta there. So any kind of exchange, enlightened exchange. So that's why it says enlightened hearing, sensation, seeing, tasting, and all that. All this comes from the understanding of the unmanifest divine. That's what the sutra is saying here. Can we move on? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Let us see. The next sutra is 38. Okay. Te samadhi upasargha vyuthane siddhayah. Te samadhi upasargha vyuthane siddhayah. Te we know. Te means they or those or these. Samadhi, so the state of samadhi. Upasargha, so inherent outcome of natural changes, natural phenomenon, foreboding, evil, trouble, misfortune, obstacles, or disease. Vyutane, arising, siddhaya, siddhi. So these siddhis are the inherent outcome of natural changes that arise from samadhi. So all these siddhis come from the samadhi state. So that's what he's saying here. All these siddhis, all these achievements are the natural or inherent outcome of the changes that arise because of this samadhi. So he's also quoted here. Vyasa says that this is a reaction of the chitta, because now the chitta processor, which is always pure, which was already doing lots of unwanted things, is now clear of all those things, all those chittavrittis and kleshas, because of the higher level of Atma Vidya. The kleshas all have reduced significantly. Because of that, the chitta is now able to use its processing power to bring these wonderful abilities, the siddhis. So that's what is the natural ability of the chitta starts to come out. So the power of the chitta is being used in a proper way. That's how you have to understand this. So I don't want to go any further. We covered quite a few sutras. Let me see if there is anything see here. Okay, on Sutra 36, I'm going to read out Dr. Rajan's notes from my class that he conducted. Maybe that will make a little bit and another way of looking at it. So we know Purusha in Sanskritam, we say Purusha, Sattva Purushayoho. Purusha, male. Stri or Mahila is female, we know that. So Prakriti is considered female, right? Though the subtle seed behind creation. So the Purusha is the subtle seed behind the creation. So but it is the woman who gives the birth, right? But for that birth to happen, it is the subtle seed of the Purusha that is needed. So the subtle seed comes from the man, from the unmanifest divine. The unmanifest God is the Purusha. The manifest is the creation. The creation is the manifest. And the control of the creation is called the Divine Mother. So the Divine Mother is the Prakriti. If you put a name and form to God, that's what he says in that asankirna yoho, he says. So if you put a name and form to God, you have already made God into a narrow concept. And that is what is asankirna yoga. The moment you see God only as a form, you have made it very narrow. You have limited it. So you have made God into a narrow concept. Sattva Purusha is beyond all narrow concepts of names and forms. The unmanifest divine is far beyond all narrow concepts of names and forms. So God realization happens only when we understand that he is beyond all names and forms. So if you stick to a form of God, then the God realization will not take place. That's what is the meaning of this. God realization happens only when we understand that the unmanifest divine is beyond all forms. You can experience God only when we go with an approach of no assumptions. This is the meaning of pratyaya. We said, right? Convictions and beliefs for pratyaya. Where is that? Yeah, here, right here. Convictions and beliefs. So when pratyaya means when we go with none of this. This is the meaning here. When we go with an approach of no assumptions, that's how we have to approach. The pratyaya means convictions and beliefs. We have to take the next word also, avishesho, which is not significant or nothing. So the meaning of pratyaya, avishesha bhoga, all three put together means when we go with no assumptions, and it is something beyond, but yet within. That is how we approach it. The unmanifest divine beyond all this, but yet it is still inside us. We all have that connectivity, or possible potential ability to connect. So when we connect, that entire thing is inside us. That's how we see it. So he's taking a lot of effort to explain that unmanifest divine. How, if you're narrow-minded and you say this Linga, this Sri Murti, this Krishna, this Rama, if you continue to think that they are God, then you are seriously limited. That's what he's saying. With me, people? With me? Is this clear? You have to unmute. I'm not able to hear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, these are the things that I wanted to cover today. We covered enough number of sutras. Any questions on this sutra or any other earlier sutra? We have another 10 minutes. Next is actually another group of sutras. So I want to do that in a fresh class. If not, we can wind up. Then all the questions will wind up. Let me also stop the share here. How many of you will be coming to the class next week? The next 2 weeks, next 2 Sundays. One is Christmas, then following that is the New Year, or the Eve, Christmas Eve, and New Year's Eve. Everyone is silent.
I will be around.
Hmm?
I will attend, sir.
If you're not traveling, if you're home, okay. So I see all of you are saying yes. So, okay.
Yes, sir.
So we will continue the classes over the next 2 weeks.
Is it cold there? You are wearing jacket?
I'm not wearing a jacket. I'm just wearing a full sleeve shirt.
Mhm.
It's not cold. No.
How was the flood?
Hmm?
There was some storm they announced, right, in Florida?
Yeah, it is still there. It's pretty windy outside, and yesterday we had some rain. Not very, very heavy rain. We had some rain the whole day.
Mhm.
Not a weather where you want to be outside.
Okay.
Good excuse not to do anything. So we have seen quite a lot of siddhis the last
Yeah.
2 classes. Quite a bit of siddhis we have seen, and a few more siddhis that we will see in the next class. And we are, as we approach towards the end of the chapter, then the siddhis will stop, and then there will be a few more sutras um, about purification and higher states before we start on chapter 4. Chapter 4, see, chapter 2 and 3. Chapter 2 is Samadhi Pada. Chapter 3 is also Samadhi. Not Samadhi Pada, Sadhana Pada. Chapter 2 is Sadhana Pada. So where he is giving prescriptions for sadhana, what type of sadhanas one has to do to be able to get to the state of samadhi. So chapter 3 is also sadhana pada, because he is also giving examples and trying to explain in chapter 3 also. Only the earlier part of chapter 3, where when we are discussing dharana, dhyana, samadhi, he is giving how to get into that state of dharana. And then he says, now that we are in the state of samadhi, what are the various things that can happen to us? So that's how we see, we are seeing all these siddhis. So we are already kind of out of sadhana. The bulk of the sadhana was in chapter 2. And then there was a little bit, the first 15, 16 sutras or so in this chapter on sadhana, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, that's sadhana. From then on, it is not really sadhana, it is more about what has come out of the sadhana. The sadhana of dharana, dhyana, samadhi, from the samyama, what has come out. And then in the 4th chapter, there is no sadhana at all. So you can all be very happy. No sadhana at all. It is all about the final release. So it's all about general things, how the creation is happening, all that. And how upon death, where we will go. So that's why it is said this class prepares you for death. I said this in the class yesterday or day before in the other class. In 2020, there was a gentleman asked Dr. Rajan, what is special about this class? So Dr. Rajan coolly said, this class prepares you for death. So there was pin drop silence in the class. So immediately we think that this class is going to cause death to me. That's how the brain, that's how the mind process that information. So this class is not going to make you enhance anything to get you to die soon. No, certainly not. What it is going to do by saying this class prepares you for death means from the time you are born, death is hovering around. It's like a shadow. So, yes.
I have a doubt since you're talking about this death now. Like when we have a chronic illness, is it okay to take treatment, or we should just accept it as part of our journey towards death and leave it? What should be done?
It's up to that person. Only that person can decide, not others.
The person who's going through it.
Yes.
Okay. But
Others cannot decide, right? Each one is an individual chitta, correct?
yes.
How can others decide for another chitta?
Yeah, but when something comes to us, when some problem happens, it's like when we take external help like this medical treatment, or going through and extending your life, living on and
You should not take it as extending life. You should take it as some kind of a relief from pain.
Okay.
Yes. A temporary relief of pain. Do you think one can extend life?
That is why I have this doubt. A lot of people, they put them on ventilator. They just even after they go into coma, they just
How long can they do that? Tell me. 1 month, 15 days, 1 month, 2 months, 2 years. What is the state of that person? Vegetable, correct?
Yes.
I mean, what do they say? Technically, they are alive, but they are brain dead.
Yeah. So the person who's undergoing that is most often not able to stand up for themselves. I mean, they can't tell that I don't want to go through this, but the family puts them through it. Is that right thing to do?
They must leave a will, Sri Lata.
Yeah.
More than a living will, a death will is very important.
Yes, correct.
See, my mother was 93 when she 93 or 94 when she passed away in 2019 September. So during her when she finally became kind of disoriented, they took her to the a very sparsely equipped nursing home right behind a street 2 minutes from our home.
Okay.
Run by a doctor whom we know for many 40 years or whatever, 30, 40 years. So she was taken there, and then they gave her the saline, the drips. And she, by next morning, she opened her eyes and all that. So the doctor came to see her, and he said, "Oh, you're looking good now. I can send you home." So I was not there, but my other siblings, my sister is here. She can also speak for me. She told the doctor, "Send me there."
Oh.
So she was ready. And after that, she lived only for a day and a half or so, couple of days, I think. Slowly, she came home. She came home well. She that evening, that night, she probably had some liquid food and whatnot. And she said good night to everyone, and she went to sleep. From next morning, she refused to eat anything. She did not speak, nothing. Slowly, one by one, her systems started shutting down.
Yeah.
So she knew that she didn't want to live beyond this point and undergo all kinds of torture. When I say torture, I mean medical torture. In fact, we had already spoken about this, my brother and myself and my sisters. We had already spoken about this. And we said we don't want her beyond a certain stage.
Yeah.
Especially about at least 1 year prior to that itself, she was frail. So we said, to eliminate some kind of pain, we will give her some pain relief treatment. But if the doctor says, "Oh, she has to undergo this surgery, that surgery, we have to do this diagnosis, for which you have to come to the hospital and stay for 2 days," we were very clear that we are not going to do that.
Yeah.
And in my mother's case, she made it easy for us by saying she wanted to. Even that little bit of doubt, what should we do? Although we didn't have, even if we had, she had made it very clear she wants to go.
Yeah.
So this, see, why people cannot make the decision of death is because of our attachment. I want to see all my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren one more time. Let everybody assemble here. So everybody comes. And then I have seen all of them at 10 a.m. in the morning. Then inside my head it says, "Oh, I want to see them one more time after lunch, or I want to have lunch together with them." Will this stop? That desire? That desire will never stop unless that person wants to stop that desire. So this understanding of that death is like a shadow. It is there with us it is like a breath. The breath is there from the time we are born. So death is also like that. So that acceptance, it is that avidya which makes us think that one can extend their life. One can never extend their life. Even with stents, one cannot extend their life. The stents will work only if I have to live for another 10 or 15 or 25 or 30 years. Otherwise, the stent will not. Actually, a friend of mine had a stent for 4 or 5 months, about 6 months back. About a month or month and a half back, he called when I picked up the phone, his voice was very, very down. I knew. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Not good news, Kumar." I said, "What?" He said, "My stent has collapsed." That his stent. and the doctor says that stent cannot be retrieved once it collapses, because within a few days, people generally think the stent remains like a solid steel tube inside that artery. It does not. It completely integrates with the artery, with all the tissues. It cannot be retrieved after once it is put in, and after about 15-20 days or something like that, it cannot be retrieved.
Oh.
Yeah, without cutting that artery, it cannot be retrieved. Whether it collapses or not, it cannot be retrieved. Very, very difficult process. I mean, one may cause more damage by doing that. Generally, I don't think they do that retrieving. They have to do a bypass. If that is possible, they will do a bypass. Otherwise, the person has to live with whatever limitations with medications or whatever. So at that point of time, the person has to make a decision. So I want to continue to struggle like this, or just accept life as is, and stay alive as long as it's possible, as long as it is going to expire. The date of expiry comes in, and then pass away. But that needs that needs a lot of understanding. That needs Atma Vidya. Without that, it is impossible to accept life, accept death.
That, yeah. Okay. Thank
See,
you.
I have 6 tents.
Oh,
Six.
Yes, I have 6 tents.
Six.
Yes, 6. SIX 6. But it is the divine grace that the stents have not collapsed.
I have 1/3 of you.
I'm glad
True.
my Shishya has not exceeded me.
No, I would have reached 50% when they tried to put the third one. They could not put it, so they did balloon blast. They say that it is much more reliable.
Anyway, the fact of the matter is, they'll always, in English there is this proverb, right? The doctor applies the bandage, the divine heals it.
Yeah, well said. I
The
didn't know
doctor
that.
the doctor applies the bandage, the divine heals it. Any doctor, any good doctor will tell you that I will provide the treatment,
Yes.
but it is the divine. So they will always, at least in India those days, they will say, please pray to the divine.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Recently, I met a doctor who is who is in critical care, basically very difficult job. And she's
Yes.
a lung specialist also. She gets such cases which are very critical, and she says, I try my best to provide whatever I know, and rest I leave it to God. And if they survive, well, good job, they'll say. If the fellow does not survive, they'll curse me and my family, and they will go away. What can I do? They should.
Yeah.
I did my job, she will say. But she does not have any more life, so done.
No, but the thing is, because of attachment, all these problems, nothing else. The relatives don't want the patient to go away. The patient does not want to leave the relatives and go away. We may have all those feelings, but the reality is one has to go when the time comes. How is the doctor responsible? Even if the doctor has made a mistake,
Mhm.
let us say, that mistake has happened because of karma. That's all I'm saying. That does not mean one has to be slack. No, I'm certainly not saying giving a prescription for slackness, that all doctors can do whatever they want. I'm not saying that at all. In an ideal world, when everybody is nicely unselfish, when everyone is nicely rooted in dharma, and everyone, when they are not practicing for any othermic reasons, then you cannot hold the doctor responsible, correct?
Mhm.
I'm saying death at 20 is the same as death at 90 or 120 or 150. Why? Because that longevity was given to us at the time of birth to finish our karma, not go after desires. So we have forgotten the homework, but doing all other things.
Yeah, that is me.
No, that's for everybody. The homework is to get back this connectivity with the divine, and the connectivity will start coming only with understanding of life. That is, main thing is acceptance, a sense of detachment. The sense of detachment will make that acceptance easier. Accepting will make the sense of the attitude of detachment really easier. So it's a cycle. One does the other, and the other does the earlier one. It's like that. When those things happen, the vidya builds. Avidya starts fading away. When vidya builds, all this understanding of life begins to happen, and the nadis starts and the nadis begin to clear out. When the nadis begin to clear out, siddhis happen. So it's a vicious cycle. Anyway, on that note, namaste everyone.
Thank you.
I'll see you all
Thank you,
next
sir.
Sunday.
Namaste.
Namaste. I'll see you all next Sunday at 6 a.m.
Yes,
And some of you, I'll see you in another 45 minutes or so.
Right,
yes,
bye-bye.
sir. Sure. Thank you.
In about an hour. Yes. You all have to leave and then I can leave. Yes. Okay. Namaste.